Good morning. It's Saturday, and I think I'm going to head out on a walk because the weather looks pretty good, and I feel like I've been cooped up in the house for the last few days because the weather hasn't been very good. Also, I have finally decided where I'm going to go this fall, and I want to let you know where I've chosen. But first, let's go for a walk. We're in a much quieter area of town now, which is kind of nice. I'm on my way to Williams, which is right on Lake Ontario. It's right on the little bay. And I'm gonna have coffee and something to munch on, and then I'm gonna walk back. It's about a 3-kilometer walk from home to Williams and then three back. So it's like a little jaunt, and it's a beautiful day for walking. It's like about 2 degrees right now, and not too sunny, not too gray, so it's nice. This is a marina behind me. In the summer it's full of boats, and over there behind me is where I'm going. And frankly, the weather this week for March break has been truly horrible. So it's nice to have a nice day. Sadly, there's only 2 days left of March break, then I have to go back to work. There's 97 days left. I counted 97 days left. So I'm going for coffee. I did pick 2 cities finally after so much work, so much reading, so much poking around, so much research. I chose 2 cities to try out this fall. The plan is to stay in each city for about 6 weeks, and I'm hoping that will give me a pretty good taste of what it would be like to live in that city or that area. So that is the plan. And of course, because I'm going to be staying over Christmas, my plan is to also hit some Christmas markets. So city number 1 is Angers. So I chose Angers. It wasn't my first choice. I did pick something else originally, and then I decided that it just wasn't going to be a good fit for this trip. So I let it go. I'll tell you about that later on, but let me tell you why I chose Angers. So according to my criteria that I felt was important, Angers kind of hit the bill for all sorts of different reasons. So according to Numbeo, the website that I showed you in the last website, or sorry, the last video, not the last website, that I showed you in the last video, it was a website. The cost of living is fairly moderate. If I remember correctly, like one of the things that it stipulated was a 1-bedroom apartment in the city center was, I think, about 550 euros. So in my mind, that's a pretty moderate cost. The climate in Angers, from what I have figured out, is probably milder than a lot of places in that more northern area of France. It's a sub-oceanic climate, which means it has mild winters and warm summers. So that sounds pretty good to me. Being from Canada, I'm well accustomed to cold winters. Our winters here in Southern Ontario are cold. They can be very wet, damp, gray, bleak for a lot of the time. So I don't think I'm going to be surprised by any kind of winter in France. So the sub-oceanic climate seemed to sound pretty good. It's a good size. It has a population of about 155,000 people, which feels pretty livable long term. I got a really good feel from everything that I read. So I think it's got a lot of good things going for it. It's close to Paris and Charles de Gaulle Airport via the TGV, either directly or with one connection. Good public transportation within the city through buses and trams. A very walkable center with restaurants and markets and shopping, cafes. And the one really great thing that I did find out about was there's an English library in the city of Angers, and they host all sorts of events for, I guess, the English-speaking population of Angers. And that was a real selling point. I'm kind of excited about that. I think it's going to be a very helpful thing, a very almost a comforting thing, something that'll make you feel a little more welcome. I think I've told you before, I speak French, I'm bilingual. I'm a little bit rusty. So I think the whole conversation piece will, when you get into a really kind of deep conversation with somebody, not just hi, how are you, but when you're really having a conversation with somebody, I think I'm going to find that I think it's going to take some effort at first, but I think it's all going to come back to me very, very quickly. The one thing that I have seen about healthcare, and I don't think that it's an Angers related problem. I think this is something that is not only like a France thing, but I think it's an everywhere kind of thing, is the lack of doctors. Because it's a larger center, I've read that there is access to doctors much more so than if you were in a rural area. However, it takes a little bit of planning and coordination and kind of poking around and researching in order to find that doctor. So I think that's something that I'll just have to work through and see how it goes. Hopefully, I won't need any healthcare while I'm there, but you never know, just to be safe. Another thing that was not on my final list of criteria, but was something that is important to me, is that it's on a river. And for whatever reason, I really like to be near some kind of body of water. So I'm pretty happy about that. The one thing that I am worried about, because it's a university town, is I've also read that there are a lot of students around. And so I'm wondering how that's going to play out. But again, we'll have to see. I have to show you this before he moves, because this is, oh wait a minute, I have to move my laptop too, because it's just so ridiculous. He climbs up here. He's mad at me because he wants food, and he's already had food. He's already eaten a lot of food, and he doesn't need any more food. And so he's just protesting. He's just protesting. He's just being silly. Okay, I thought I'd turn around and give you a different point of view so you're not always looking at the same background. So the second city that I chose, and this one I have never wavered on. It's been solidly in my number one spot since day one, and it's never fallen off the list. So it was kind of a no-brainer, and it is Dijon. So again, going back to that list of criteria, the cost of living, again, is moderate. I think it's slightly more expensive than Angers, but still moderate, still well within the budget. The climate is continental, so it's got cold winters and hot summers, which is, for me, less desirable than the climate in Angers, but I think still doable. I would prefer a warmer winter than what I'm used to here, but you take what you can get. There's a lot more things that are more important than how cold it gets in the winter. So let's see. It's 162,000 people. It's close to Strasbourg. It's close to Lyon. It's close to Paris. It's close to Switzerland. Who doesn't want to take a little day trip to Switzerland? I do. It's got good TGV and regional train access, so that I can go to those other places. The center is beautiful, walkable, cultural, lots of restaurants and cafes. Again, I think the same kind of vibe as Angers, although a little, where did I read somewhere that Dijon, just maybe a little more cultural, maybe a little more historic. So I'm anxious to see the difference between the two. It's very pedestrian and bike friendly in the center, so that's important to me. Good buses and tram service. I've seen that on a lot of different places with information about Dijon, that the buses and trams are really, really good. I couldn't find anything like an English library, but I did find a group called Café Polyglotte, which is like multilingual group of people who get together and just have nights out and conversation in a bunch of different languages. So that seems kind of interesting. I might like to check that out. So I think not having that English connection might be a little more difficult. However, the pro to that is that it's really going to push me to speak more French, which for me is great, because part of what I'm doing is wanting to improve my French and get better. So It is what it is. I can't say it's a bad thing, obviously. Healthcare, again, is a good concentration of doctors, but it may take some searching. Same sort of reasons as Angers. Again, not just a them problem. The worry that I'm having about this really ties back to not having that kind of English connection. As a teacher, I've had students who've come into my classroom and who haven't spoken English. And I know that for them, it's exhausting to be translating in their head all the time and trying to figure out what to say and try to understand what people are saying. And that is very taxing on the brain. It's exhausting, it's tiring. And so that's one thing that I'm a little bit worried about, is just not ever getting to have that break where you can just sit down, relax, and speak in your native language. But, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Now, the city that I had originally chosen to go to along with Dijon was Périgueux. And I'm not saying that it's not a really good choice. The one and only reason that I took it off the list was because it's a long train ride. It's like 5 hours from Charles de Gaulle to Bordeaux, and then I think you have to wait around a little bit, and then another hour or hour and a half to Périgueux. And so I'm thinking that for this trip, I'm just going to leave it off. It's an area that I really, really want to go to, and I want to explore and I want to see, but I just felt that for this trip, I just wanted to keep maybe the trains a little bit shorter. So we'll see. I know it's going to be a long train ride in between Angers and Dijon to get from one to the other at the end of November, but I'm okay with that. It's the being on a plane all night and then having to take a train all the way down to Bordeaux and then to Périgueux. And I know what you're thinking, like, why don't you just go to Dijon first? There's a method to my madness. My whole plan, like when this all started, I really wanted to go to the Christmas markets in Strasbourg over Christmas. And from Angers to Strasbourg, I think is a little more difficult than going from Dijon to Strasbourg to check out the market. So that was kind of my deciding factor. Again, I'm going to go to Périgueux some other time down by Bordeaux, but not this time. I loved that it was close to Bordeaux, like within an hour and a half by regional train. I absolutely loved that because Bordeaux is one place that I would really like to see. But the other thing was it just felt maybe a little bit too small for me. But again, at some point, I'm going to check it out and see if that's true or not. It just won't be on this trip. So that's going to be it for today, I think. If you're interested in going back to the last video where I talked about 2 websites that I used to really narrow down my choices. One was the Numbeo website that I talked about today, and the other one was the SNCF Connect website, which is the booking system for the TGV trains and the regional trains. I'm going to post a link somewhere up here. Next time, I think I'm going to talk to you a little more about some of the other websites that I used in my research, and one of them was so helpful, I can't even tell you. So stay tuned, and until then, take care. Bye.